I still hear my mother's voice when I close my eyes. We couldn't afford gifts for your kids this year. It was the way she said it, flat, rehearsed, almost guilty. I nodded, smiled, like it didn't matter. My children were used to going without. They'd learned early how to carry disappointment quietly, the way I had. But the very next day, I sat in that over-decorated living room watching my brother's kids tear through wrapping paper like locusts. Bright iPads, shoes worth more than my monthly rent, gold ribbons on boxes that screamed wealth we were told didn't exist. My father laughed, clapping his hands as if it were all a comedy show. "You know times are hard," he said to me, as if my silence demanded an explanation. I didn't say a word. I packed up our coats, helped my kids into their boots, and walked us out without so much as a goodbye. The cold air outside felt cleaner than that room ever had. That night, I lay awake. Not in sadness, in calculation. There was a time I would have swallowed it. I used to believe in my family's version of loyalty. My mother's calls at midnight when she needed money for emergencies. My father's lectures about responsibility, always aimed at me, never at my brother. The years of watching them bend rules for him, excuse him, applaud him, while I was told to understand. I understood perfectly. That Christmas night, I realized I had been cast as the dependable one, the one who absorbs every slight, every insult, because I won't explode. They mistook silence for weakness. But silence is also strategy. It started small. I went through old group chats, screenshots, and emails. I pulled bank transfers I had made over the years, money that helped the family out. My brother's gambling debts covered, my parents' overdue mortgage bailed out by me. All carefully documented, all forgotten by them. Until now. I gathered proof of their double lives too. My brother's business trips that were really weekend getaways with women who weren't his wife. My father's little tax evasion trick, shifting property under relatives' names. My mother's social media comments, boasting about gifts and vacations she claimed she couldn't afford. They had always assumed I wasn't watching. They had no idea how closely I observed. The plan came to me, simple and sharp. Expose the truth where it would sting most. Publicly, undeniably, beyond their control. I waited until dawn. The house was silent, my children still sleeping. I sat with my coffee, fingers hovering over my phone. Then I posted. Not a rant, not an emotional plea, just a neat, brutal collage of truth. Screenshots of money I'd sent, labeled for the kids' school. My brother photographed with his mistress. My mother's words about no money beside her vacation selfies. My father's smug tax tricks laid bare. No caption, just facts. By the time my kids woke, my phone had already exploded with calls. First my mother, hysterical. Then my father, furious. Then cousins, uncles, people who hadn't spoken to me in years, suddenly desperate for context. I ignored them all. I made pancakes while the storm gathered. I smiled when my daughter asked why the phone wouldn't stop buzzing. Because people don't like the truth served without sugar, I told her. That evening, my brother showed up at my door, face pale, hands shaking. He didn't come in. He stood on the porch, demanding I take it all down. His wife had seen the photos. His kids were asking questions. His in-laws were calling lawyers. I looked him in the eye and said, "Now you know how it feels to have nothing placed in your children's hands." I closed the door before he could answer. My parents tried next. They arrived together, their usual united front. My mother cried, reaching for me. My father barked, calling me ungrateful, disrespectful. I listened calmly, leaning against the doorframe. When they finished, I said, "Ungrateful would be pretending your betrayal was love. Disrespectful would be teaching my kids that silence is submission. I've done neither. I've only told the truth." They left without another word. In the days that followed, the family split into camps. Some defended me quietly, sending messages about how they'd always suspected. Others cursed me for airing dirty laundry. I didn't care. What mattered was the shift. For once, the weight wasn't on me. The spotlight of shame, the questions, the consequences, they weren't mine anymore. They belonged exactly where they should have been all along. I think back to that living room, the sound of tearing paper, my father's laugh. I remember how small I felt, how invisible. That memory used to burn me alive. Now it fuels something colder, steadier. They wanted me to carry silence like chains. Instead, I used it as a blade. And when I hear my mother's words echo, "We couldn't afford gifts for your kids this year," I almost laugh.